everybody, and welcome to the September edition of Power Chats. As you all know, or for those who are recently tuning in, Power Chats is just basically a hub where I invite different women each month to come and share their story, and they just basically explain how they have come about and have projected their own individual power to do what it is they do. And tonight we have the pleasure of having Miss Fab Finance, Miss Tonya herself. Hi, Tonya.
Hey guys.
Thank you so much for joining in. Of course, we're going to get right into it. But for those who don't know you, I want you to introduce yourself just a little bit. Tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we'll get into the questions.
Oh, absolutely. My name is Tonya Rapley, and I am a certified financial educator. I have been working with millennial women of color on their finances unofficially since 2011, but I started My Fab Finance in 2013. And I say 2011 because I have a social service background. My undergraduate degree is in public administration, and my master's degree is in urban policy. And I decided to utilize those degrees I always knew I wanted to change the world. And I didn't know how. I knew it was going to happen. And I started My Fab Finance in 2013. It's not even to be a business. It started out as my accountability partner while I embarked on my own financial journey. And then I started sharing the information with others, and it started to gain momentum. And the turning point essentially was when I was named the new face of wealth building by Black Enterprise magazine and featured on their cover. And ever since then, it's just been, the ball has just been rolling. And I was just like, either I'm going to let this moment pass me by, or I'm going to capture it and turn this into the opportunity to do what I wanted to do, which was change the world.
Okay, now I know some people may know, and I know because I've read the bio. Do you want to go into a little bit about the beginning stages before even My Fab Finance? What brought it about, and what kind of that turning path in your life that kind of launched you even to be in New York City?
Oh yeah. So when I started out, I went to college in Miami, Florida. And during that time, I ended up in a relationship that was physically abusive, mentally abusive, and also emotionally abusive. So when I entered college, my finances were amazing. I had great credit. I had financed a car on my own. I had my own place. I'd financed a laptop. Like I was doing well. Then I met this person who saw that as an opportunity, and they ended up racking up a lot of credit card debt in my name, stealing money from me, opening up fraudulent accounts. And as a result, leaving that relationship, a lot of the utilities were also in my name. So when I left, because I was such a hard worker, I was the one who was paying all the bills. This person was chasing their dreams. And they couldn't find a way to work and chase their dreams at the same time. But I was paying all the bills. Everything was in my name. So when I decided to leave the situation, I had to, cut everything off. I had a lot of collection items. I had broken leases. I had utilities that were unpaid. And so my finances were in shambles. And I went back to North Carolina for about a year. And I said, nah, this is not what I want. I love North Carolina now, but then I was just over it. And so December 30th, 2008, I moved to New York City. I said, I am not bringing in 2009 here in North Carolina. And I moved to New York City. I had $500 in my bank account. And
Wow.
My aunt, I moved in with my aunt. Luckily, I had a family member who lived here. So I moved in with her to get a better understanding of the city. And I lived with her until 6 months until I moved out on my own. And I've been here since. And I know hands down that New York definitely is an integral part of my story. It was supposed to happen this way. So I'm just so thankful. I always say this city changed my life. And so, yeah, that's how I got here.
That's how you got there. So tell us about a time when you failed, and how did you overcome that time when you failed?
Ironically, a time I failed, most of the times I failed have been related to math. And that's why my story and journey with My Fab Finance is so different from a lot of other financial educators, because I struggled with math growing up.
Wasn't something that came easy to you. Oh, math is like second nature. I love math. You weren't one of those type of people.
No. Oh gosh, no. I loved anthropology and sociology. Wait, no. What do you call it? It's social studies.
Okay.
in grade school. So I loved anthropology, social studies, critical thinking. Those were my things. I loved them. And so I actually failed. Oh, man, my last major failure was I was in grad school the first time around, and I was here in New York City. It was an online school, and I was taking a finance or math-oriented class online, and I failed that class. And as a result, they dropped me from the graduate school program, and I was devastated. I called my parents crying. I failed. It was, I think it was more so a strike against my ego more than anything. But I was literally kicked out of the program. Done. I couldn't get back into it. Fortunately, I was able to enroll in a program here at Brooklyn College in New York City in a major that I actually was interested in. And then I was kind of doing that major just because it was liberal arts. I ended up getting my master's in urban policy, which is something I'm much more passionate about. So everything happens for a reason. But I flunked out of grad school the first time.
So tell us more about the urban policy for those who may not know what exactly urban policy is.
Urban policy is an assessment of the policies that are implemented by governing bodies and how they impact the individuals or the general public. It also does include some advocacy work, an understanding of advocacy work, lobbying, and so forth. So I plan to use my degree to do more work around economic abuse and economic policy, working with disadvantaged populations and ensuring that they have the proper protections and that they're implemented properly. And just continuing to work with governing bodies to make sure that we understand there is gross inequality when it comes to the wealth disparities in this country, and just making sure that it's not because of the policies that we have in place, and that everyone is at least getting an equal as it can be opportunity.
Okay. Okay. So how did that come about? How did you kind of think to combine the two like that?
God, it was God. Seriously, in all honesty, and that's one of the things I've learned along my journey is, when Rush Card is now one of my clients, I'm the financial educator for them. And I was sitting in a meeting with their president and their vice president, and they asked me where I plan to be in the next 5 years. And I told them, I don't know. I honestly don't know, because if you told me that I'd be in here in this room with you 5 years ago, I would have said you were lying. So I can't sit here and say that it was this well thought out tactical plan. It was really God saying, you need to do this, you need to do this, and I'll show you why you need to do this in a little bit. You'll understand why. Wow. And so my path has been unfolding in front of me, and I'm incredibly spiritual, and I pray and meditate regularly, just asking for clarity and just asking to be moved in the direction of my purpose. And so that's how it came together. That really is how it came. I saw the program. I thought it was interesting. I thought it would be a good supplemental degree to my undergraduate degree in public administration. That's why I signed up for it. And then when I got into this work, I realized that it would serve me perfectly in this line of work that I'm doing now.
Definitely. So what would you say your definition of power is then?
I think a lot of people think of power. I look at power more so from a personal standpoint. So I don't look at power as the ability to influence others. I look at power as the ability to have agency over yourself and agency over your decisions, and an understanding of how those decisions impact others, and even the ability to influence others to your particular viewpoint, or to get them to work on your behalf for whatever you're working on. But I believe that power is really internal. I'm going to stop there. I look at it more so as internal, and I don't like to deal with, even though there are dynamics of power at play, I don't like to focus on them, because I believe we're all powerful, and it's a matter of tapping into our own agency to control and create the lives that we would like to experience.
So then, with that being said, what would be some tips that our viewers and everybody can use to tap into their own individual power, being that it is self? It's something that you believe is strictly control over yourself. What are some of the ways that you were able to embody that, or to embrace, that type of power?
The biggest thing is to realistically and really know yourself. I don't feel like enough of us really know ourselves. We know what we do. We know who we hang out with, but we don't really know ourselves and what drives us. Once you understand yourself, you're able to advocate for yourself, and you're able to request and demand things that you believe that you deserve, because you know what you're capable of. So tap into your capabilities and tap into who you are as an individual, and get to know yourself intimately. I think a lot of people are distracted by others, distracted by social media. So it's important to get to know yourself, and sit back and reflect. I don't think enough people sit back and reflect. There are some days where I have to sit back and say, that was powerful. I was powerful in that moment. That was a power move, and not be ashamed about it.
Mm-hmm.
There's not anything to be ashamed in. I mean, unless you're, using your power. I was watching Narco. Oh
my gosh, I was just watching that the other night.
You don't want to use your power. You don't want to use your power like that.
Right.
But just owning your power and being able to advocate for the individuals that you care about the most in your life. It starts with knowing who you are and what you deserve and what the people around you deserve. Because once you know what you deserve, you're unstoppable, because you won't accept anything else.
That's right. That's absolutely right. Okay, so let's get down to the nitty gritty. All right, let's say that I'm a person, my finances are kind of like all over the place. My credit's not too great. I want to know where to start. We're in October, and I feel like this time of year is a good time of year because you can kind of check in with yourself. For somebody like me, to be honest, I didn't do those goals that I had from 2014. I didn't do it at all. But I feel like the reason I didn't do them is because I didn't start on them in 2013 and kind of carry it over. This time of year, let's say a person is ready. I'm ready to, be that financially stable person. I'm ready to get back on track.
Mm-hmm.
So for the next 90 plus days we have left in 2015, what are your key points that you say to kind of start to get level-headed and clear on finances and where a person should go in their finances?
It really is assessing your current situation. And I advise people what to write down what they currently like about their financial situation, if anything, and what they currently dislike and what they would like to change. And then we go from there and we break it down. So I would say, list out what you're happy about, list out what you're unhappy about, and then look at how you can do more of what you are happy about, and look at how you can change what you're unhappy about. So if you feel like you didn't save enough money, look for tools and resources that will allow you to save more money. But before you look at the tools and resources, ask yourself, why didn't I save more? Was it because I didn't have tools? Was it because something else was a priority over my savings? So I started to ask yourself, why didn't this work? Why didn't this work? Why didn't this work? And how can I address those things? Because everybody's finances are different, but saving should be a priority for anyone, because you just never know. I always say these companies, they are not loyal. You never know what's going to happen. So saving should always be a priority. And at this point of our life, saving for retirement is big. And a lot of us I've seen a lot of people, they don't want to start saving until they're 40, and they miss out on a substantial amount of money. And it's a wonderful opportunity to allow compound interest to work in their favor. And the next thing would be assess your credit. If you have not looked at your credit report since the beginning of the year or all year long, it's time to pull the credit repair out, or pull the credit report out, or look at your credit report and analyze it and look at, what are the items? Does everything look familiar? Are there any new collection items that you need to deal with? How are you doing on paying your bills? Is everything on time? And are you keeping your balances low? So I know it can seem a little overwhelming. I created a ebook called 7 Life-Changing Money Tips. It's totally free on my website, MyFabFinance.com. As soon as you go there, it's in the toolbar, and you can download that totally free. And that helps set a framework for understanding what needs to be done and how to do it. So it walks you through setting a budget and doing all those things. Because you're absolutely right. It starts in 2015. You don't start on January 1st and say, all right, I'm ready for the rest of my life.
Right.
Now, because outside of it being a calendar date, it's the same. Outside of being a new year on the calendar, it is the same. It's another day. So there's not much that differentiates tomorrow from 2016. I think a lot of people we get caught up in those. We get caught up in markers and bench points and everything, but it's another day.
Right. And I know, going back to what you said about the retirement, I've heard some things and I've read some things that, a lot of people in our kind of generation and the millennials don't want to save for that retirement is because by the time we're able to use it, is this true now, that the market and the economy is totally different. So basically our money won't have as much value because we'll think that we have this much money, but now the cost of everything has gone up, or, you know, the price for this has gone up. What's your take on that?
Oh yeah, inflation is real. Inflation is going to happen, but that's still not any reason to say not save money, because $0 is going to be worth $0 then. So, you know, it's still not any reason to not save money. If anything, it should be encouraged, or it should encourage you to try to put away even more money, because you know that the value of your money will diminish. But if anybody says that they're not saving money because things are going to be more expensive in the future, that just is counterproductive. That's like me saying that, you know, I'm not going to go buy, you know, milk today because it's going to be more expensive next week. Like things are going to be more expensive, and the best way to plan for that is to actually start saving even more money rather than saving less money.
Okay. Definitely.
Because I mean, and the government's going to give you less money. So outside of inflation, the government, it is projected that our generation will not have Social Security, or it will be meager. And one of the things that got me into this work was that I was working with women who had lost power over their lives. They had these amazing, you know, they were in their 20s and 30s. They were popping, like they were enjoying life. They were in movies and on Broadway, and they hadn't adequately planned for their financial future. So at 60 years old, they're here living in a dorm room and sharing a bathroom and kitchen with other women and waiting for their Social Security check that's only $600 a month, and their rent is $575. That was what changed me. That changed my perspective completely, because we might not even have $600 in Social Security, and we'll be lucky if we find a $575 dorm room, or have, you know, a home that's paid off or something, but there's still always taxes and insurance that we would have to pay. So it's just really important to realize and look around, look at older people in your life, look at older people in passing. I didn't want to be that 60-year-old woman bagging groceries at the grocery store. I want to be the 60-year-old woman who is in the airport looking fabulous and just came back from Aruba.
Right. That's exactly right. So being an entrepreneur, has being an entrepreneur been something that you've always wanted to do? We heard the background story of you going to New York. Now, how did just being My Fab Finance come about to where it's sustaining itself, it's sustaining you, it's providing for you?
Girl, yeah, growing up, I wanted to be a foreign services officer. I wanted to be so much growing up. I'm a Gemini, and I was one of those kids where I started, I wanted to be a dentist, and then I wanted to be a foreign services officer, then I wanted to be a principal. So I've wanted to be a lot of things, but I did realize that I wanted to work for myself when I started my first blog. It was called The Eargasm, and that's one of the reasons I came to New York. It was a music blog, and it highlighted up-and-coming artists. But in retrospect, I had no business plan, and everything was flawed. I only planned on making or earning income from ad sales. And for some people, that ad revenue is enough to sustain their lifestyle. With My Fab Finance, ad revenue is not the way I sustain the business and have been able to work for myself full time. My Fab Finance has about 4 or 5 different income streams now. And so ironically, when I moved to New York and had the blog, I gave away all of my work clothes, all of my corporate work clothes. I told my best friend, I ain't working for nobody. And then in 2 years, I had to get a job. And that's when I started working at the nonprofit. But that was part of the plan, because that is when I worked with a woman who hadn't saved for their retirement, and that changed everything. So I had to go through that. And so My Fab Finance originally started, it was just a blog. I didn't know how I was going to make money. Then I realized people made money freelance writing, and I always enjoyed writing. Mm-hmm. So my first initial income streams came from writing for other outlets. So a nonprofit organization reached out to me, a couple of other publications. So I was making about $250 to $700 a month writing. And then when Black Enterprise happened, I was able to take on speaking. That gave me even more legitimacy, of course. And I was able to add speaking revenue into my income stream. So speaking is extremely lucrative, extremely lucrative. remember going to speaking gigs and making in 45 minutes what it took me 2 weeks to make at work. And so, yeah, in 45 minutes, I was like, I want more. How do I do this?
Right. I'm gonna speak everywhere now.
Yes. And so, so speaking engagements, and to this day, I still do speaking engagement. Colleges usually have beautiful budgets to pay you to come speak at their university. And so I started putting that speaking engagement money away into a savings account and paying down debt with that. So I established my freedom plan, my freedom fund, where I would put that money away for when I was going to quit my job. And then creating products. Creating products is a very, very, very lucrative way to make money in your sleep. I have the Super Fab Finance Planner. That is on Amazon. I love it. It's beautiful. It's what I wish I had when I was organizing my finances, but that alone isn't enough to supplement my income. It's nice. It's money for more promotional tools for My Fab Finance or to pay my assistant and etc. But the bulk of it comes from speaking and long-term writing contracts. So Rush Card, I blog for them 4 weeks out of a month, well, weekly basically. And they pay me for that. And then also video work, and then speaking engagements and the coaching work. Now I also help coach other people who are hoping to establish themselves in their niche and dig down so that they can determine how they are going to establish a presence in their field and work with them on setting goals and helping them achieve their purpose and passion. So yeah, so there's a couple of things going on there.
That's awesome. So is Tonya like completely debt free? Is there any times where you've kind of fell back into that trap of, oh, I want this, or, you know, the finances didn't add up? How does that go for you? And how do you keep yourself, you know, you're human. So, you know, but you're also My Fab Finance. So it's like, does that kind of conflict? Like, okay, I know I shouldn't do this, but I just want something, or I just, you know, got to go there.
Absolutely. I'm human before I'm a financial educator. So while I like to remember that I am setting an example for my readers and people who see me at the store, I have big hair. So, you know, I definitely have had people come up to me in the store and be like, is that financially fab? And I'm like, who are you? Yeah, so I've had people come to the store and check me. But absolutely, I mean, when I started my business, I do admit, and I'm honest about this, I got into a little more, I spent more or took out more debt than I initially planned to. When I started My Fab Finance, I racked up probably about $8,000 in debt just on investing in, you know, different resources, getting my business set up how it should be, and by just making sure that I was professional, and sometimes traveling to conferences, just different things that I needed to do to advance in my field. And so I've been paying that down. When I left my job, when I was using that money, I paid down $5,000 of it, and I have a small amount, so now I'm continuing to pay that down. I still have student loans. I'm not a financial educator who has to be completely debt free and wants to pay off all my student loans. I might die with them, in all honesty, because I would prefer to put that money into an investment account and allow it to grow for me, and I can pay the minimum of my student loans and allow my money to grow so that in retirement, I will be able to live the way that I desire. And as long as I'm continuing to build My Fab Finance, I anticipate being able to pay them off sooner, because that's the beautiful thing about working for yourself. You control your income potential. This month already, I made more money than I would have made at my 9-to-5. And so that's more money to allow me to pay off my student loan debt and other things, but it's not a priority for me. My biggest priority is growing my money and using it as a tool.
That's right. That's absolutely right. So are there any trends that you see working with, let's say, a group of people, maybe African Americans, maybe young women, maybe men, that really stick out to you as far as the concern for finances goes? Besides savings, we all have that issue, but are there any other trends that you kind of notice for certain groups of people?
We complicate investing more than it has to be. We really do. I get people who come to me and I don't know what to do, and so and so and so. I'm just like, go set up a Roth IRA. You can get started. Set up a Roth IRA. Open up or go speak to someone about opening up a mutual fund. A lot of times our banks, even though I don't always recommend people go to their banks or their credit unions or even nonprofit organizations and their savings clubs, are available for you to reach out to and start growing your money. But a lot of us think that it's more difficult and out of reach than it actually is. And that's not the case.
And I think
across the board.
Right. It's because we're thinking that you have to have this amount of money to even begin with, to even begin doing something like that.
Yeah. And I started investing with $500. My grandma bought my first stocks for me. She bought me 3 Disney stocks back when I was, well, this was when Disney was cheap, but she bought me 3 Disney stocks when I was 12 years old for under $100. So, and now those stocks have this, they split, and they're a substantial part of my portfolio. I mean, I have to keep reinvesting in them, and I'm actually, after leaving my job and rolling over, I'm going to allocate some of that money to purchase more stocks. But it doesn't, it's a lot. You do not need a lot of money to start. I started with $500. And so tax time is perfect. Tax time is a perfect time to get started. Or Christmas, ask. I don't know what I'm asking for this year, because I don't have children, so I can still ask for Christmas.
Right.
I don't know. I think I want some really nice luggage this year. But, going forward, you can always ask for stocks. You can always ask for someone to purchase a CD for you or to get you started in investing. And I believe that's a really noble ask. Who's going to say no to that?
Mm-hmm. Right, exactly. Now, what is it somebody should look for when we're talking about stocks or that kind of investment? Because it looks like mad science. If you look at it on your phone, you know how you can pull it up on your iPhone, yeah. It looks like mad science.
Yes. So I'm not a financial advisor. So I do have someone who does my financial advising for me. I know my lane. And like I said, math is not my thing. Equations are not my thing. And so I have a financial advisor that I sit down and he breaks it down with me. But overall, I mean, of course, you're not going to invest in a stock that has continuously poorly performed. But also, I wouldn't say get into the stock market and throw loads of money into it if you don't understand it. Purchase mutual funds or index funds, purchase them in a package so that you have multiple funds in one package. So you're not taking all the risk on one company. Your risk is based on the performance of the entire package. And so is not as volatile.
Gotcha.
So if someone has no idea, how to understand the stock market, I would say that you should go into mutual funds and then start to understand how your mutual fund is performing, and then possibly veer out into individualized stock options. But it can take stocks can be expensive. There are penny stocks, but I don't really advise anyone to make that their thing. And I've invested in quite a few medical marijuana companies because I'm just waiting for the national government to say everything is for weed.
Exactly.
And I'm waiting for those stocks to boom. But right now I am getting pummeled in those stocks. So it's definitely not for the weak, the weak-hearted. And if you want, but my mutual funds, aside from the unrest going on in Europe and in China, those markets definitely have impacted the larger global markets. But my mutual funds, for the most part, perform relatively well.
Okay. So what are we talked about all of this, all of the good tips and everything that the viewers are getting. What are some of the services that you offer?
Services I offer. So right now I am doing the Finance Revamp Bootcamp, and I'll speak more about that towards the end. But also I have my Power Powwow sessions. So right now on the website, I have taken it down because I reached a quota for last month on how many clients I was taking. But if anyone is interested in a Power Powwow session, you can tweet me at My Fab Finance and say, hey, I want to do a Power Powwow with you. And basically that is helping people uncover what their purpose and passion is, and then helping them create a plan, an attack plan to make things happen. And so I'm offering that. I'm also doing workshops with organizations. I'm very passionate about entrepreneurship and helping others understand what my journey was and how to financially prepare for entrepreneurship. So I'm doing a lot of workshops as well. So the way they can work with me is Finance Revamp Bootcamp, which is a 12-week camp designed to help people step into 2016 and make it the best financial year of their life. And then the Power Powwow, which is for individuals who know they want to make a mark, but they feel confused. They're so confused. They don't know where to start. They don't know what's for them per se. They feel like they have all these competing interests. I help them tease that noise out and create a concrete plan for what we decide is essentially their passion, what they're most passionate about, at least right now. And then the in-person workshops and speaking engagements.
Okay. And what would you say to that person that does have those, you know, those passions that are kind of like not all over the place, but I have one thing, because once you're passionate about a couple things, it's kind of like more ideas come to your mind. So it's like, oh, well, this is really what I love, but then, oh, I could do this. Because once you're an entrepreneur, you're going to have multiple streams of doing things for yourself. It's not going to be, well, I'm going to have this company, but I'm still going to work for somebody. You're going to do what you want.
Yeah, you are. That when I left my job, it was kind of like, why am I here?
Right.
I'm over y'all. And so I would walk in a little bit, it's just time to go. So as far as figuring out what you're passionate about, I mean, I feel like all of us are talented. We all have access to the internet. We see different things. We're like, oh, I think I might be able to do that, or I think I can do this. But the most important thing is tapping into what matters the most to you and what you want to be known for, and then focusing on that and focusing on a specific component of that. So when I started My Fab Finance, finance is relative, even though it's a niche, it is still relatively vast. There are people who focus on investing. There are people who focus on real estate. There's people who focus on budgeting, debt repayment. So I had to find out what my niche was, and mine was credit. And once I got really, really, really good at credit, I would pretty much say I'm an expert at understanding credit. I can look at a credit report and like, I'm really good at credit. Once I became an expert in that, then I started branching out and doing other stuff. So you have to become an expert in something, and then you can start branching out and to do other things, but you can't become an expert in everything simultaneously. So it's important for people to understand that. And while your capacity might allow you to, other people don't have the capacity to understand that. So you're going to confuse people. And when you confuse people, there's research that says that if you give someone more than 3 options, they shut down and walk away. And so it's important to just make sure that you are conveying exactly what you want to be known for, so people know how to help you, so people know, you know, how you can help them.
That's awesome. So where can we find My Fab Finance? That's a tongue twister sometimes. Social media, website, wherever else. Where can we find you?
You can find me online at myfabfinance.com, but I'm also available on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Periscope, Google Plus, Pinterest as My Fab Finance across the board. And are we coming to an end? Because I definitely had a special offer that I wanted to share.
We definitely are. Yes, go right ahead.
So I wanted to speak more about the Power Powwow. Let me just share my screen. Not the Power Powwow, the Finance Revamp Bootcamp. I'm going to share my screen if Google is nice to me. Okay. Share. I feel so old with this technology. Okay. So you're able to see the screen, correct?
Right, but I'm not going to talk, so it'll stay where you are, okay?
Okay, perfect. Okay, so the Finance Revamp Bootcamp was designed for individuals who wanted to go to the next level with their money and the next level with their financial goal setting. So within the Finance Revamp Bootcamp, we cover a few different topics, and this is just my Black Enterprise cover so people can see that it's real. And my Super Fab Finance Planner, that is the one that I created, that's available on Amazon.com. But, you know, at being named a new face of wealth building by Black Enterprise magazine, I understood how important it was to help other people understand the different wealth building strategies available and get their finances in order. But I also know that a lot of people want to work with me because of that. And I haven't been able to do one-on-one coaching, and I bang my head up against the wall and I work with my team. And I was trying to figure out how I can start coaching people in a way that they're getting the most attention from me. And that's where the Finance Revamp Bootcamp comes in. So it's a one-of-a-kind coaching experience that's designed to help you create better habits and practices so that you can live the life you desire. And the group was created for individuals who know that they need more attention. So there's a lot of free challenges out there. My friend, the Budgetnista, does an amazing challenge called the Live Richer Challenge. But some of us need more accountability. Like, you can get lost in the mix and you don't have anyone holding you accountable to make sure you're doing the work and to really check on you to make sure that you're following up and creating real change. So that's what happens in the Finance Revamp Bootcamp. We go over different topics every week. We go over 6 different topics over the course of 12 weeks. We spend 2 weeks on each topic. And it has, it's a lot less expensive than traditional one-on-one financial coaching options available, because I get it. People don't have the money to pay $400 an hour for coaching. So with the Finance Revamp Bootcamp, you get 6 exclusive webinars followed by a live Q&A with me, and that's valued at $1,200. You get weekly action workbooks that I'm working with my team to design, and they are absolutely beautiful because everything I do is pretty much beautiful. You get audio and transcripts from all of the sessions. So they're yours forever. You can share them with people. I'm not going to create special passcodes where you can only download them once. You can share them with people in your family. You get to access the Facebook accountability group, which is priceless. You get a copy of the Super Fab Finance Planner. I will mail you a signed copy of the Super Fab Finance Planner directly from me. And you get free access to the Financially Preparing to Be Your Own Boss e-course, which is valued at $40. And it's a course that I created to help individuals successfully create a financial plan for leaving their 9-to-5. So you essentially get over $3,000 worth of, over $2,000 worth of services for $197 with the Finance Revamp Bootcamp. This is a testimonial from a young woman that I've been working with since I started My Fab Finance. And Deja is fantastic. Now she is a money coach in Nevada, and she's doing fantastic work at helping others with their money now. And then Siobhan, another woman who brought me to speak to her group. And what's best, and I say what's my strong suit about being a financial educator, is I didn't start out with perfect finances. I was my first client, so I understand what people are going through. I'm not judgmental. My whole lens is, okay, you're here. How can we get you to where you want to be? So that's kind of what's echoed in these sentiments from my testimonials. And so the Finance Revamp Bootcamp starts October 13th. That's a Tuesday. I made sure it wasn't in conflict with Empire or Scandal or any of these other shows. And the I have payment plans available until September 28th. Because while $197, everybody's been telling me at peer-wise, like I'm definitely underpricing this workshop. I understand, or this boot camp, because it's over $2,000 worth of services you're getting for $197. But I understand that still can be a heavy lift for some people. So I've broken it down into 2 payments that are available until September 28th, where you pay $99 now and you pay $99 in another 2 weeks. So if people are interested in taking advantage of it, you can go to myfabfinance.com/bootcamp. And it has more details about the bootcamp. It actually lists out the modules that we'll be covering. We'll be going over savings, debt, credit, money mindset, and how to maintain the momentum and what you've learned in the course and to create barriers around your finances. I'm thinking we're going to do some role playing on what to say when family asks you to borrow money. So myfabfinance.com/bootcamp is where you can sign up for the bootcamp or get your payment plan set up, essentially. And if anyone has any questions, you can email me at Tonya@myfabfinance.com. or reach out to me on social media. If I'm tagged in the photo, at me and put your question in the comment box below, or reach out to me on Instagram, on Twitter, or Facebook. So that's available for individuals who have enjoyed this workshop and they realize they want to work with me and they're trying to figure out how. If they feel like, oh my gosh, I need to get my money right, that's how they can work with me.
That's super awesome. So how often is that available? Is it a monthly type of boot camp? Because what if somebody's watching and they're like, okay, not next month, but maybe the month after, or December Christmas gift maybe for themselves?
It's 12 weeks. And so right now it will begin October 13th and it ends 2 weeks before Christmas, which is perfect timing before people, while they're doing their Christmas shopping. I'm going to make sure that people don't have that holiday hangover. And I haven't decided when I'm going to offer it in the new year, because I'm getting married in February.
Congratulations.
Yes, and I will not be any use to anybody around that time.
Okay, so that means get it in now. And that means
get it in now, and
get it in now too.
And then we are moving to California in April. And
that's
so
the first part of the year.
Yeah, first part of the year is probably, I'm most likely not going to offer it, if anything. And I don't know, people don't do stuff in the summer. So it'll probably be a 1 year type of situation. So this year, this is it, at least for the next 5 months. I can honestly say that.
Okay. All right, everybody. So you guys, we, including myself, have to definitely sign up for that, because that's awesome. And 12 weeks, that's a huge commitment. And this is, you said every Tuesday, or?
Every other Tuesday. So 6 webinars, 6 live webinars.
Okay.
So it's like going to school. Like every other week you'll have a webinar with me. And in between that, you'll have a workbook that I've created where it has assigned readings. So, but they're not boring assigned readings. I'm compiling a list of free PDFs and free books that I'm able to find online for participants of the course, but it might be a news article or something like that, especially when we talk about spending triggers and the psychology of spending. And so there will be weekly readings and workbooks for people to do to help them understand and apply what they're learning, and then just to kind of fact check and make sure that they have a deeper understanding than when they started.
Tonya, that is absolutely amazing. And an amazing price. I've never heard that price for anything. Even when you have a financial advisor contact you and, you know, want to work with you. Oh my goodness, that's absolutely
amazing. I wanted to make sure that, you know, I have to be mindful. You have to place value on yourself. And one of the reasons I charge for it is because people who get stuff for free, when you like, I don't know how many free courses I've signed up for that I have not completed.
Exactly.
But when I pay for something, I get it done.
I'm gonna finish it.
Exactly. So it wasn't just about, you know, making sure that, you know, I could cover, you know, the materials and everything for the course, but it's also to make sure that people were investing in themselves and they understood that they were making a monetary commitment, because we will commit to our money. We won't commit to ourselves, but we'll commit to our money.
Absolutely.
So it is what it is. And hopefully afterwards, people will come out of that with a different mindset. But going into it, I definitely wanted to add an additional incentive for people to stay on course with the program.
That's awesome. So what is the last day that people can pay and sign up for the boot camp?
The last day is October 12th, since it starts on October 13th. But the last day to do a payment plan is going to be September 28th, since it is a 2-week payment plan, and October 12th will be the 2-week mark, starting September 28th.
Okay, so if somebody signed up September 28th, they still have until the 12th to kind of pay it off.
Exactly.
Okay, gotcha. All righty. Let's see. One last word of advice, one last tip, one last, you know, that gem that you've learned along the way that can definitely bless and you can impart in somebody else's life.
Recently, so before, when I first started My Fab Finance, my big thing was everything begins with intention. Even though you don't know exactly where the path will lead you, starting out with that intention will lead you to where you need to be. Because my favorite quote is, when you want something bad enough, the universe conspires to help you achieve it. And that's a Paulo Coelho quote. And I like that. I'm about to be in tears now, because that has been my life. I knew I wanted to live, and when I moved to New York, I said, I want to live in the Cosby Show neighborhood. And I didn't know what that was. Even though that's in the Village, I live in Bed-Stuy, and my block is so beautiful. When I walk out, I'm like, this is where I've always wanted to live. And the way it happened is like stars aligned, everything aligned and made it possible for me to be here. So I just want to remind people, don't be ashamed of wanting something so bad, because when you want something bad enough, the universe will conspire to help you achieve it. And if you have a dream, you know, that is part of your power. By putting that out there and increasing your vibrations, and now I'm getting all spiritual and metaphysical on people. But when you put it out there and without even knowing it, everything that you do is focused on making that happen subconsciously. So just remember, when you want something bad enough, the universe will conspire to help you achieve it.
That's amazing. Give me a virtual hug, Tonya. That's so great. Thank you. Thank you to everybody that has tuned in. She is My Fab Finance on everything. Look her up. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest, which is awesome.
Periscope.
Google Plus. What else is there?
Periscope. There's Periscope, YouTube.
Periscope and YouTube. Okay, and YouTube. That's right. I have watched some of your videos. That's right. And also myfabfinance.com. What about your personal website? Do you direct people there as well, or is it just the My Fab Finance?
If there's anyone on here who's interested in my work with survivors of economic abuse, that's where I do more of that. Or anyone who wants me to write for them or wants to book me or anything, that they can go to TonyaRapley.com, and it has some of the articles that I've written for past clients, as well as more information about the workshops and so forth that I offered. So if there's anyone on here like, we need to bring this girl, she needs to share this woman, she needs to share her mission with our group, they could do that at TonyaRapley.com. But if you want to learn more about the financial education and the awareness that I put down in the professional development writing that I do, then you can visit myfabfinance.com and just take advantage of a load of free resources. I have so many free resources available on that site.
And I will be doing that tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, Miss Tonya, thank you so much once again. Thank you everybody for tuning in. This will be available for replay on my YouTube channel. You can look me up at The Femme Focus. I am also available on all social media at The Femme Focus as well. You guys, I hope you learned something from this. I sure did. And I'm feeling like, you know, I'm about to get my money right. That's what I'm feeling like. All right,
that's how I want you to feel. That's good.
Right, that's right. You guys have a good night. Bye, Tonya. Good night.
Bye.